I want liberation. It is not a question. Just wanted to say it.
That's advice.
It's easy. I'm giving you my next one.
That's what it says. I'm not making it up.
Here.
Oh, you're giving it to me?
Yeah. It's only fair.
Oh, okay. It's for me anyway.
Yeah.
I'd like to know Ryan's opinion on karma. Does he think it's something we carry from other lives? Okay. So karma, we are experiencing karma right now. Anything that happens is karma. Anything that arises is karma. So what is happening right now is karma. Does he think it's something we carry from other lives? About, 15 years ago, I had an experience where, I thought about past lives a lot because I was a Vedic astrologer and I studied astrology, and everything is sort of built on that premise of things come from the past and come into the future. And I had a realization about 15 years ago that that's just a model that is useful to help us as humans understand or make sense of what we think is going on. But the experience was that our life experience is not linear. And David touched upon this a little bit when he said, was I David in this past life with, the color eyes and the hair and the personality? Probably not. And my experience was that it was as if I was able to see consciousness, and it was a ball. So again, just a model, but roll with me because it helps us understand things. It was a ball. And everything that was ever possible and ever could happen and ever did happen is in this ball of consciousness. And again, this is oversimplification, but you'll get the idea. And let's say on this ball, like there's something sticking out of the ball, like to differentiate itself from the ball. And we'll say that's Ryan. But that thing sticking out is still a part of the whole ball. Just like when Yogananda says, we are the waves on the ocean of spirit. Well, the waves are not separate from the ocean. It's all one thing. It just looks like something sticking up, so it's different, but it's the same thing. But in this experience, it was as if right now, this little point sticking out, we're going to call it Ryan. But in this ball, remember, all time, all space, every possibility is in there. Which means that, let's say I go to a hypnotherapist and I'm able to become aware of other points in this ball. Well, sure, I can pop in and zip over here to 1865 when this particular thing happened and look and see what's going on there. And I can imagine, that must have been my past life too, because I was able to go in and see it, right? But really it was just that that little thing called Ryan absorbed itself back into consciousness and then just looked somewhere else in the ball. And so it occurred to me that the idea of past lives, it's a useful model, but how we come in and out is not linear. Time is related to this physical form and this that we can appreciate. And when I had that experience, it really kind of disintegrated my sense of past lives. There was just consciousness and the choice to experience these different things. And then one time, Roy never recommended hypnotism, and I don't recommend it either. And he never really recommended looking into past lives because he would say that what you need to know about your experience, you have it right now. If you're an angry person, do you need to go back to your past life to figure out why you're an angry person? Or do you just deal with anger right now? If you have a drug addiction, do you need to go back and figure out why? Or do you just figure out ways to resolve it right now? You get the idea. But I was going through a difficult time and I was looking for answers in different ways. And so I went to a world famous hypnotist. And I didn't really know what was going to happen. I didn't know what was going to happen. And first off, it was hard for me to be hypnotized, which makes sense because the more that you practice yoga and meditation, you're already accessing these deeper states of consciousness. So you're not going to just follow a procedure and then conk out. It's much easier to be hypnotized if you're typically unconscious. But but she was good, world famous. So she finally got me there. And I had 5 experiences of past lives. Have any of you heard this story before?
I heard one of your past lives.
Yeah. So I had 5 experiences of past lives. 2 of them were human. 3 of them were not. 3 of them weren't even animal. First, I don't really remember the order, but one of them, I was like an Eskimo, and I was being born. And I came out, and like the family was like, holding me up and stuff, but I was very aware of being like an Eskimo-like environment. The next one, I was in almost like a savanna, and I was in a group of really tall, I wouldn't say they're African American, but they're dark-skinned people. And they seemed very tribal. And for some reason I had to leave the tribe, but it was as though they were these wise beings, and I had to leave. And I was very sad in that one. There might have been one other that was a human one, I can't recall, but 2 of them, one, I was a crystal. I was aware of having the structure and the way I experienced life was no way like we experience it now. It was as if you've seen that like flash photography where it's like time is passing really like, you know what I'm talking about, like how the clouds like jump and the light comes and it goes really fast. I was experiencing the world, seeing things come up and disintegrate and things rolling by, and like thousands of years went by until eventually the crystal fell over. And that was the end of that life. I had another lifetime where I was a planet. So this all happened within like a 2-hour hypnosis session. But when I came out and like she was playing the stuff for me that I was saying, like, whoa, and I have vague memories of it, but I was a planet. And I remember millions, billions of years of existing as this globe. And I even was able to sense beings evolving on it and then going away. And then how did that end? The sun expanded. And I was annihilated in the sun expanding. Like the sun, like I was in the orbit and the sun came out and just, whoosh, that was it. So anyway, I'm telling you this because those are possibilities within consciousness. And was that linear? I don't know. Was it real? I don't know. But what one of my friends told me, the fellow I was talking about that talks a lot, I had mentioned this to him because he's interested in these things. He said, well, it doesn't ultimately matter whether they were real for you or not. What matters is that there's something in your consciousness that like that was an experience that is important to you somehow. Mm-hmm. And so it came out in that way. So what's the question? Do you carry karma from other lives? Maybe. But really, since consciousness is always kind of coming forth and going in, it is bringing some predispositions. Are they coming from past lives? Are they coming just because there's been a collision of forces that makes you go in that direction? We can't really say. And again, I don't really think it's useful. It's interesting. It's fun sometimes, but people can really get lost in it. Like, for example, one person asked Yogananda one time, Mr. Davis told this story, asked Yogananda, were you Jesus in a past life? Okay, well, that's a loaded question, isn't it? Well, Yogananda said his response was, what difference does it make what names we give to the waves that rise and fall in the ocean of consciousness? So he was just kind of saying what I was trying to get across there. He didn't say he was, but we've all been Jesus in a past life if we're all part of consciousness, right? And but the person who heard it said, oh, well, he didn't say he wasn't. And so from that, he took on, this is how crap gets started, right? So ultimately, if it's helpful for you to think this karma comes from past lifetimes, and there's a practical way for you to deal with it using that information, fine, it comes from past lifetimes. If you're able to kind of let go of that and just deal with the present, I think that's the most important thing. And that reminds me of another quote from Ramana Maharshi. Around the time that I retired from astrology for the public, I'd read this quote from Ramana Maharshi. Someone had asked him about astrology and whether it was useful to get your chart done. And he said, you can't even understand the present moment. Why do you think you should try to understand, past lives and these kinds of things? And he wasn't being mean. but he was being very on point about understand the present moment first, and then you can worry about the future and the past. So that's my best response to that. Any additions?
No, I think what you said there, we ascribe the meaning to things. It's kind of like we retrospectively go back and we make interpretations on the whole thing in our current experience. And if it gives us a means to be able to move on, okay, but otherwise, how do we know it's true? It's all fabrication of the mind.
Yeah, and when Melissa passed, I dove deep into near-death experiences. Like read books, listened to all this because I wanted to know what's going on here. And that's actually what led me to this hypnotherapist. And that led me into a whole realm of possibilities, and like hearing about people who've undergone hypnosis and the stories they would tell and the experiences people had in past lives. That was really helpful for me at the time. And that wasn't very long ago. And, Roy wouldn't have supported that. But for me, it helped me to get through that, to make sense of a very difficult situation. And then I was able to pull back and look at it and see, well, what was useful about that? What could be true? What could not be true? And then I was able to make peace with it and move on. So I think it's important to recognize that there are times in your life where you need models. You need belief systems to assist you through a process.
That was my question I gave to you.
You can't skip yourself.
So.